Morning. We all here? Is Clay there? Clay, how are you? I'm not gonna beat the gavel.
Miss G told me to remind everybody.
Recording in progress.
Before we start the meeting, if you are speaking, make sure you speak in that direction and towards the microphone. That helps with the sound.
Welcome to our first meeting of the year. It's, as you can see by the packet that you all received, the packet that we have before us, pretty thick compared to some of the others, but I think it's all things that we need to know about. And I appreciate you and your staff getting all this together. There's some things in there you might want to take with you and leave, so just take them out of there. Look over some things. Mama, we've got some things coming. We want to congratulate the new daddy. Daddy girl is a month old today.
Yes.
So you don't have dark circles in your
I
eyes.
am surprisingly getting enough sleep, so I may regret saying.
So you don't have to get up and get up, it's your turn.
We've got a schedule.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
times are a little different. That's awesome. That's awesome. I appreciate that.
Thank
Julie, we're glad that you're here. And it's a familiar face. If you've been on the commission for a while, you know Julie before was our person. We're glad to hear you. Thank you. You would like to say something?
Yes, I'd like to just remind you all that just a few things about being commissioners. Sometimes it bears repeating. Please be aware that you are subject to the open meeting requirements of the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act. That means that you are not to have any outside communication with anyone who might be conducting business in front of this commission. So if you run into someone in the hall or coming into the building or ride the elevator up with them, or you get a phone call at home or a text, and it seems like someone's going to have a conversation with you about something that's pending before this board, please politely decline to participate in that conversation. You are not a legislator to be lobbied for your vote one way or the other. You are sit as judge and jury. And if you think about it in terms of a jury being sequestered so that a jury is not influenced by outside influences, but only makes a decision based upon what's presented in the courtroom, that's the situation that y'all are in as commissioners when you hear applications or disputes. So just remember, you're supposed to make your decision based entirely upon what you hear in an open meeting that's been advertised to the public, so the public knows when y'all are meeting. Frequently, if it's a hearing, you'll have a hearing officer and you'll have a court reporter. So just remember, if you get those phone calls, if people approach you about discussing any board member, just please politely decline and say that that could be a possible Freedom of Information Act violation that could end, you don't want to end up on the front page of the Arkansas Times or the Arkansas Democrat Gazette or in the news over something like that. And it's my duty as your legal counsel just to remind you of things. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Okay, now that we have heard of that, we need to get the approval for the meeting minutes for the Wednesday, October 16th, 2024 meeting. Thank you, Scott.
Second.
Remember, I always say your names. Thank you. I know it's not due, so it's been moved and second. We approved the minutes for the Wednesday, October 16th, 2024 meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Number 5, we always do this at the first of the year. We need to authorize the commission expense reimbursement and stipend for the 2025 calendar year. So I need a motion on that, please.
Make a motion, we approve the expense of reimbursement instruments. For the 2025 year. Second, Jenny Jones.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Michael. It's been moved and seconded for the authorization of the commission expense reimbursements and stipends for the 2025 calendar year. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The approval of the financial revenue and expenditures, you come over this with us before we vote, or do we vote?
I can go over it first.
Okay, why don't we do that, and it'd be better to do that in case there's some questions. So, go ahead, you go ahead.
So, the first thing in your packet here, we've got that kind of in its own section for everybody tab. The first thing in your packet you're gonna see, for fiscal year 2025 is just our deposit list. And, this is actually an update, to this week. We're still kind of at the tail end of, dealer and lessor renewals. So most of the things you see for November, December, and January are, the dealer and lessor renewals on this list. And you'll see that as of this week, we're already at 403,965.10 for the year, in terms of revenue, and that's licensing revenue as well as late fees and penalties revenue for the whole year. So we're doing well. We're right on track to where we're supposed to be at this point. You'll see later on, we still do have some renewals left to go. But I'd say we're probably got about 80%, 80 to 85% of them done at this point for dealing with lessors. So, but Alexis, you'll see later on, put together a pretty detailed list for you on that. The next reports are showing you penalties revenue, licensing permits revenue from October, which is the time of our last meeting, to now. That's the first page. And that's just breaking it down by date and penalties and licensing permits. So the different sections there, the GL codes. The page after that is going to be your fiscal year 2025 penalties breakdown in terms of total amount of penalties. At this point, for the year, in terms of late fees and penalties, we're at 16,250 total on fiscal year 25. And then that last page, you can see there is a breakdown of licensing permits for fiscal year 25 revenue, and that's 383, 370, 50 for the year so far. So that's where we're at as of today. We haven't done another deposit since we put this together, so that's current as of today. Then the last reports there are your detailed monthly service bureau reports. This is going to show you a breakdown month to month, all the way up to January, which is the month we're in now, in terms of penalties, licensing permits, all of that. It's also showing you that 1.5% fee that we have to pay to DFNA that is deducted out of our revenue. So that's where the difference in numbers come from. If you look at this first report, and then you look at that second report, which is your monthly revenue summary, that report already has that 1.5% reduction. So that's where the difference in the analysis is there. This also shows our cash investments fund balance, which will be important later to remember for when I talk about how we had to do a fee reduction. So, and then your last report there is going to be your monthly expenditure summary. So that's just showing all the expenditures of the commission in fiscal year 25. And your end column there is what we have remaining. We got total expense on the year, and then what we have remaining for fiscal year 25 in terms of our allotment appropriation, and you'll see that we're well within that on all that. We have no.
You have to be young to read all that. Or like.
Yeah, I can try. We can try all friends.
Yeah, we're not, probably for a little bit older.
When you get these big detailed reports with all the numbers, we're probably blowing up. Really messing up the document.
We're getting, we're like, I'm gonna get the magnifying glass out.
Yeah, actually, they need to get rid of the one that's open. That's what's wax.
That would be
Brain side, next.
I was gonna tell you.
But macro level view, we're doing well, the commission's doing well, we don't have any issues expenditure wise or any, we shouldn't have any need to go before the legislature to ask for more money. So,
That's right.
yeah,
That is very good.
it's not gonna be-
You and your staff are doing a wonderful job. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions, feel free.
Any questions, anybody? We need, approval on the financials that were just given to us.
I move we approve the financials as presented.
All right, second,
Second, Michael Wise.
moved and seconded for the approval of financials and revenue and expenditures. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Daniel,
So that moves us to the license
right,
activity reports section, which Alexis, I give her full credit for most of these reports, but she's our license supervisor and she keeps up with all this stuff. She does a great job. She makes my job a lot easier. But most of these reports she's put together. And you'll see here, she's got a detailed breakdown of license type, and this is from, this first page is from October until, well, actually, she's got it broken down by month, I'm sorry. October, November, December, and then into January. This is just the submission dashboard, and it's showing all the license types and all the different submissions we've had since the last meeting. And it's also going to break it down for you in those right columns by how many we've actually approved. If it says approved, that means the license has been approved. If it says rejected, that means we have to send it back to them for, to revise some things before we can approve it. And then, of course, if it says denied, that means we have to deny it for some reason. Usually that's because somebody submitted the wrong application. So we have to deny it, have them submit the right one. And the great thing is ELP, our new licensing platform, makes it easy for us to refund people's money when we need to do that, because most of the time people are paying by credit card. So we can just issue a credit check for the credit card and then have them reapply for the correct license. We usually don't have that problem anymore because it's most of the time people call us ahead of time before they submit a license, but every once in a while we'll have somebody that gets on there and just does something without asking. And we have to explain to them that they submitted the wrong license and get that corrected. So that's usually the only reason why we would have anything in the denied column, is because somebody did the wrong license. This second report after that is our dealer and lessor license renewals report. This is what I was referencing earlier. So Alexis has made this very simple. All of the ones that say active, that are in white and active, they have renewed, they are active, they are good, they paid their license fee, and they've been approved. If it's highlighted in purple, that means their license has expired as of December 31st, and they are still needing to renew that license. There are a few of these that we think will probably surrender, but most of these we're still trying to get to renew. And some of them, I think we have what, Alexis, like 20-ish, around 20 renewals in the queue right now for the last couple of days.
Some of these people have renewed
Yeah,
since the new brand.
right. Some of these people have renewed and they've been rejected because they didn't provide all the documentation. So they've already paid their license fee. We're just waiting on some documents before we can approve them. I noticed that Budget Rent-A-Car and Hertz Rental and Avis, we have to have Alexis and Margie make some calls and get on some people about that, because Enterprise has already renewed all their lessors and lessor branches, but the other people have not. So those people definitely have not. But basically, if it's in purple and it's expired, we have not completed a renewal for that entity. So purple, yeah. But anybody that is in white, they have done everything they're supposed to. So we are slowly working through it, but like I said, I think we've probably gotten about 75–80% of them done at this point. So we tried to make it as easy as possible for you guys to get a breakdown on that, to understand where we're at. You'll notice that most of the ones that are dealers that have not renewed are cycle, ATV, or RV dealers. We only have, Lexus, what are there, 3 auto dealers that haven't renewed? They're usually pretty good.
And 2 of them have renewed.
Right.
They just-
And I will say, you see Kavanaugh, Genesis of Jonesboro on here. is one that is not renewed. I actually talked to Matt Kavanaugh yesterday, and they're not gonna renew that store. They've actually closed down that store. So we're gonna have to do a surrender agreement for them for that store, so they won't be renewed. Does anybody have any questions about that one before I move on to the next report?
Do you think those just submit, considering?
Yeah, we did,
Sure.
you see these later on.
Okay, for the one you see.
The surrender, yes, he's gone, yes, yeah, I already talked to him. And they've already worked everything out with Genesis, so there's no issue there. Anyone else have any questions on the renewals? We'll eventually get everybody that's going to renew, which is sometimes, when we get into January, we have to start calling people and politely reminding them, or in some cases, sending emails and letting them know, because once we get to the end of January, that's when the late fees start. And EOP makes that really simple, so. Our next page, if nobody has any other questions, is just showing you the manufacturer and distributor license renewals that we have left from for fiscal year 25. So this is all that's left, is this list. I can say, looking at this page, I know we've determined that Extreme Outdoors is out of business, so they're not going to be renewing. And I think a few of these other people, Alexis, we talked to, and they are potentially going to sign a surrender agreement on some of them. So
2 or 3 of them have started an application with that function, and they have been made aware that they owe.
right. So everyone on the list is aware they either need to renew or surrender. We're just kind of waiting to see how long that's going to take. But Alexis is working on that. But that is it from all of our manufacturers and distributors in terms of anybody that has renewed for this fiscal year. So that's out of a list of hundreds of those. So the next list is our pending voluntary license surrender agreements we have out there that we're waiting for people to return back to us. These are people that we know are no longer in the business, or have dropped their product lines and are not selling licensed products anymore, and we're waiting on them to return back to us, or they have sold their business to someone else. I will say, how many, you'll notice on 2024, we got all the way up to 90. So, and then the 2 from 25 that are left at this point. Now, Alexis, the CFO of Power Sports, do you want to explain that one for, because I know they're not out of business. That's kind of easy. I think they applied for had the wrong license.
The CF Moto Power Sports, they're actually a distributor. So this last renewal cycle, they asked for a surrender for the manufacturer's license after we realized that they're not a manufacturer. And so they are licensed as a distributor. We just have not received that surrender back to that manufacturer that they.
They currently have the license they're supposed to have, but in terms of the system, they have 2 licenses, so we need to distribute them, we have the license to them. So. Right. And then these other folks, most of these are dealers that we're trying to find. We got one. Sometimes when the cycle dealer, smaller cycle dealers go out of business, they can be difficult to find. I can remember, I told Alexis part of this, I can remember one that we had that sold a bunch of dealerships. The only way I was able to find him is I called one of the stores that he sold and talked to one of his previous managers, and he gave me a cell phone. That was the only way I could figure out to get a hold of him, because I didn't know where it was. So that just gives you an idea of what we have to deal with sometimes when we provide business and sell their stores. The next reports are going to be your license activity reports. So these are new licenses that the commission has issued since the last meeting in October. All of these reports, Alexis sends out to Joy and also our contacts over at DFNA so that they can update their franchise tag file so that we really don't have any issues with the tags at the office there. Hot Springs Campground in Hot Springs, they're actually licensed to sell Champion Park model homes, which are technically RVs. Michael can tell you that. They have an RVI number, so we actually do license them to sell RVs, but they're park model RVs. And if anybody doesn't know what that is, I can let Michael explain it to you later. We do actually license those. They're kind of unique. And you'll see Live 3 Tiny Homes. He's also selling what we would call park model RVs, and he's in Cabot. And Margie and I had to really work with Luke to get him all he needed to understand the facility requirements, but we finally got him up to date and we got him licensed. He actually first applied back in June or July, but when he applied, all he had was a dirt lot, you know, so we had to kind of work through that and had everything we needed to have, because he came in and met with me, but he's selling platinum cottages, RVI and park models. And again, if anybody wants to know what that is, Michael can explain it later. It's a unique thing. Funtown RV in Little Rock, they have purchased, you've seen some of them previously, they purchased all of the Kiko's Country RV stores now. So Funtown is now the owner of the Cabot location. They're selling 40 dealer products. They also own the, is it Mayflower? Were they Mayflower and Bryant? Cabot, Mayflower, and Bryant. So. Right. They have a license for it. We give them a license. So they have a license for all three of those locations now. He goes to sell all three of those locations. They also have a store in Texarkana, right? So they have 4 stores in the state. Mitchell's Equipment, Mr. Cook, he's just selling Yanmar UTVs. He's located in Searcy, right off the interstate. Margie had to go do a site visit. He's a very nice man, but we did a site visit on his location since we've never licensed him before, and everything was fine. But he's currently just selling Yanmar, and I think he sells a lot of farm equipment, Margie, and that sort of thing. So he's in Searcy. Scooter Shop and Auto Shop. John did a site visit for him in Fort Smith to make sure he had everything he needed. He's selling towel, scooters and ATVs. I think he's bought an old used car shop, John, or something along those lines. Yes. Repair shop. So he's in Fort Smith. Got him licensed in November, and then C2 Power Sports. Mr. Chad Moore, he owns a C2 Power Sports in Conway. We recently opened a new store in Hope, Arkansas, and it's a Polaris dealer down there. The former Polaris dealer, remind me, Alexis, who was it down there? Gave up, they gave up their Polaris to Chad. But I can't remember what it was called. It wasn't in Hope, it was in Ashdown or Nashville or something.
It was Nashville.
Nashville, okay. Anyways, that gentleman is no longer in the power business, so Chad and C2 were now the Polaris dealer in Southwest Arkansas. You know, and he's got a really nice store there. Margie and John both went down there and visited his new location, and it's very impressive. It's brand new. So, and then let's see. Top Carts in Texarkana. This is kind of a interesting story. So this is one that came about. They are licensed now to sell LSVs, Evolution and Nago. This is one that we became aware of, correct me if I'm wrong, Margie, through Evolution. Evolution told us about them. They signed an agreement. This is a golf cart dealer in Texarkana, and they're what, a mile from the state line down there? Just barely in Arkansas, but they are in Arkansas. Mr. Schway was very nice, but they were not aware that they needed a license to sell LSPs in Arkansas. John and Margie had to go down and do a site visit and visit with Mr. Troywick and explain everything to them, and they did get a license after we visited. So they're now fully licensed to sell Evolution and Nago LSPs. But we found out about them through the distributor. Actually, this is where we got the information. So we were able to get some invoices and go down there and explain to them that in order to sell these products, you have to have a license. So, and they did not argue, they just got the license. So, but that's kind of an interesting one. They are property licensed now, and I think they're the only LSV dealer we have in Texarkana. I don't think there's any other ones in the area. So, and then the last report here is for Parish Chevrolet. So this used to be Bob Rogers Chevrolet for a long time. And Mr. Schluterman here in the last month has completed the purchase, and he owns Paris Ford, right? Paris Ford, yeah. So he's in town there. He bought Bob Rogers Chevrolet, and he now owns Paris Chevrolet. place, and that's, is that there shows. And that is in Paris, Arkansas. So that completes the updates on the activities since last October. Mr.
But it's a lot, it's good, isn't it? Very good. We don't need a really emotion.
No.
I didn't think so. All right, so that was under like the consumer.
That's the last report, so yeah, next week. we'll see the investigations.
Do we get John, or do we get them to talk?
Yeah, I will let, John and Margie kind of present their investigation report real quick, and just to kind of give them a brief overview. It's not, we don't have to go out into the weeds.
Y'all fight it out, whatever you got.
Whoever wants to go first.
All right, I'll go first.
Thank you, John.
And John, this is where you give an update on Black River.
Well, and with that being said, after Scott and I had a chat this morning, I'm gonna have to make another trip to Batesville. Evidently, Mr. Holyfield, well, he completed his move to 105 White Drive over there. His inventory didn't quite make it over there. So
Okay,
I'm gonna have to probably go back
yeah,
and
we're gonna have to go,
have a chat with him. Scott brought that to my attention this morning, so.
well, you can explain for everybody that has not been here before what you're talking about.
Well, White River ATV, is owned by a gentleman named Bill Holyfield. They're in Batesville. And, he had a discount furniture store right there,
Oh,
just as
yeah.
soon as you cross the White River.
Sorry, we know now.
Yeah.
We got it.
He was selling little ATVs and motorcycles and scooters and things, and he did have a license. However, some way, shape, or form back during COVID, during his licensure, kind of fell through the cracks, and his.
He had some selected photos. He sent
Yes.
us back then.
And
I wasn't
so-
here back then, but I think we just kind of got missed because he was clever with his photos. He made it look like everything.
So on just routine dealer visits, when I went to Batesville, I had discovered that he was selling these out of this furniture store, which according to our own Rule 4 is a no-no. And so I went in there and had a nice conversation with him, and he agreed to move, and I would think that was back in August. And I gave him till December to move locations. And so latter half of November, he called me and I went down there first part of December, and he had indeed moved to 105 White Drive there,
South side, right?
well, no, it's
No?
off of Highway 69, which is White Drive.
In the northwest part of it.
Oh, okay.
So it's still like further away from the furniture store.
Yes.
Okay,
There's no connection at all.
okay.
So he had his sign up and everything and showed me the building that he leased from what used to be Gillies Automotive, used to be a used car dealer there. And, thought everything was fine until Scott brought to my attention this morning that his inventory hasn't migrated over there yet. So I'll have to make another trip down there and, explain to him the, proper way to conduct it.
It's still in the furniture store.
Scott goes by there every day.
Yep.
These are
Still
fluid.
there.
Don't tell him I told you.
No,
Now, he has to buy
We don't.
vehicles for Scott.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, well, if you have any trouble
He
on
could have
that,
been the eye.
just let me know.
It's fine.
It's fine.
and,
There's a little bit, we'll just give him a benefit of the doubt, say there's some miscommunication, we didn't quite understand.
I'll word it very nicely. You can trust me. All right, on my investigation summary, let's see, I've got, two current formal investigations open, one pending. That particular complaint is a complaint pending against, Crane Ford in Jacksonville. The reason it's pending is because the complainant has, open litigation against Crane at this time, so we're just kind of letting that play out through the courts. I've got two
Got a
closed.
Call on that, actually.
Uh-oh.
Is that Crane? That's the one y'all were talking about?
Crane Ford in Jacksonville, yes, ma'am.
No, I got a call because my brother is in the attorney, and I said, he said, are you still on that? You know, well, I'm just telling y'all this.
For transparency. purposes.
transparency purposes, that's all. Thank you. I thought maybe I shouldn't tell that, but anyway, he was gonna have to mediate. And so I said, well, if I were you, I probably wouldn't. But do what you can do, but he said, good, you can get me out of this, so, you know.
Yeah.
But they were at least trying to do something, so. Whatever there is, he didn't, no.
Well, in this particular case,
Yeah,
they sold her trading when they shouldn't have.
right.
And, she's got a good case against them, I would suspect.
Yeah.
Then I've got, though, let's see, two non-formals that are open. Closed 8, and then two ad investigations, and those are against, Sunrise Honda in Rogers. Oh,
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Tractor Supply situation. The things they have, at least at the store I'm in, you know, in Batesville, the store I go to, they look like UTVs, but they're electric.
right. Yes, so those are
So they consider golf carts and
Those are
not,
the rackets.
those are, their their brand is RAK, R-A-K-A,
Yeah.
I think is, R-A-C-K.
Yeah.
Anyway, that day that I went to see Mr. Holyfield, I went by, the Batesville Tractor Supply Company to make sure that they had taken those other units that they were selling. And of course, I checked quite a few up, North Arkansas area. And not to jump ahead of the game, but it appears that all of their stores are in compliance with
Yeah, we'll get.
the letter.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we're
The Baracas are technically
not,
not eligible.
not that.
Okay.
They're golf carts because they don't go over.
okay, I see. I didn't know what the difference was.
I'll-
I assumed it because they were all electric, and
It's how fast they
they
go.
were maybe built on golf cart chassis and things like that. Not
We just,
subject to our.
we just go on our statute.
Yeah, that's it. I wonder where that statute is. So
Yeah, that,
it's gotta go over 20 miles an hour to be considered.
yes,
That's how we define it.
that's how you,
Okay.
I'll explain it.
Okay.
But yeah,
And we have received the spec for that particular model, so we have that on file.
Okay.
So we know exactly what it does.
are you?
Yeah, that's right. I just was curious.
On my summer report, I did, 30 ad reviews, and John and I did those together as well. Those dealers, and he was talking about Evolution. They also told us about 2 other dealers, which they're getting in the process of getting licensed.
River
Those
Valley.
will be on the next report.
Right, River Valley.
And River Valley Golf Carts, there's one in Bryant and there's one in Stuttgart, and they're owned by the same company. By the same, Mr. Young.
And that all came out of Margie and John's investigation. That's the only way we even knew about those.
And they in turn told us about one that's in Hot Springs Village that he and I can go visit tomorrow. And we're getting all the information from Evolution before we go. So,
I think we just have a misunderstanding with a lot of the golf cart dealers that are now getting into the electric LSB game. And they've sold golf carts for years and they just don't really see a difference when they're selling them. So they're getting these agreements and signing up to sell LSBs and they don't know they need a license. So we're just having to do a lot of education.
and they'll tell you, like you said, it's electric, so we don't need a license.
Well,
But I explained to them, that's not the case, because over 20 miles per hour, which that's where our statute states, you do have to have a license.
Those
That's why
evolutions,
these 3 got licenses.
those evolutions will be street legal in Hot Springs Village.
oh, yeah.
So,
No, they-
And we do have 2 unlicensed products. We're getting a distributor manufacturer to get on board with us to get licensed so that these LSB dealers can sell them. And one is, I think Icon, and the other one's Advance.
I think so.
Yeah. And, so and we're having dealer title issues. And my investigations that I had 5 open formal and I closed all 5. I had I mean 10 and I closed, yeah, I had 5 and then I closed 5, which was 10 investigations total there. And then the non-formal, I currently have 7 open and I closed 17. And the current, non-formal pending is the one that's in current litigation with Crane as well. And that's been going on since July.
For a little while.
Yeah.
That's a title issue,
Yes, it's
not a
fine.
malicious title.
So, and then I did about 19 dealer visits.
Yep.
And that's one.
Margie and John collectively have done a lot of dealer visits even since the last October meeting, and they will continue to do
We've covered some ground.
Thank you.
And he's been going with me this year.
Yeah,
On my.
Yeah, we try to, especially when we're going to new locations, I try to send them together, because you just don't know what you're getting into sometimes.
Thank both of you.
On the, so, and they went over a lot of the non-formal formal complaints already. You'll notice that first one that we had for 2025, which is the only one right now, Griffin Motorsports and Golf Cars. That's the dealer in Hot Spring Village that Margie and John are going to visit tomorrow. So that's why that's on there open. And they have reached out to Evolution for more information on that, but that's what that is. You'll also notice in terms of non-formal complaints and formal complaints, I think we got up to what was 28 by the end of this year. That Margie and John have worked. We have a few that are still open. For instance, let's see, we have a few that were actually filed in. We have a few that were filed in December that are brand new, that are interesting. I won't really talk a whole lot about them, but they are dealer, manufacturer, distributor related issues. So you can see who they are on the list there, but I don't really want to talk about them because they're still investigations there. We have 28 total formal complaints, non-formal complaints for 2024. We ended up with 111. So we're kind of back up to our more normal, Ms. Joy can tell you, that's kind of the more normal range of complaint numbers we would see in a standard year pre-COVID. So we've kind of gotten back up to the normal expectation on working complaints. And you can see by Margie and John's investigation reports and his complaint reports, we've been doing a really good job of getting these things closed out pretty quick. They're really good about jumping on these things. We only have a select number that are open, and all of them are open because we're either still investigating or we're waiting on additional information, or we're waiting on a response from one of the 2 parties to the complaint. So that last list is the ad review list. This just shows all the ad reviews that Margie and John did in 2024. And an ad review is something that we don't consider a complaint. It's more of a dealer or their advertising company, marketing company asked us to look at ad material to make sure that they weren't going to be in violation of anything. And we send out these mailers or do website advertising or Facebook advertising. They're not going to be violating with 3 and we always appreciate it when you reach out to us ahead of time before they run something, and then it causes us to get a complaint about it, and then we have to do an actual investigation, eventually bring it before the commission. So. And then the last list is just the ad hoc list showing all the ad hoc complaints that Joey and I and our attorneys handled ad hoc this year. All of those have been handled and closed out, so none of them are still open. And that concludes the complaint reports. If anybody has any questions on anything, let me know. Commissioners, we will make sure we get the Black River ATV situation figured out. I thought for sure we were done with that, John, but apparently not.
Yep, it's not. Well, when you see things, I hate to bother them. I know I've gotten a flyer and I don't see it in here.
Yep.
But I should have said that it was during Christmas time.
Oh, did you get something?
I did get something. Okay. I know, I'm just saying, I did one time and then this time I was like,
I will say,
and it could be okay, you know.
since the commission made a big effort, you were here, go back in, I think, 2018.
Oh, yeah, we used to have
we made a big effort back then to kind of do away with a lot of the mailers, and it's gotten, there's a lot less of them.
They really are. Not for reasons that I really didn't see, but I wasn't comfortable, you know. But if you do get those type things, you know, it would be helpful to send those in. But if it doesn't happen often, we used to get them all. We used to have hearings, I mean, just when we did stuff.
Yeah.
So, anyway, just a reminder to do, you know.
We have some interesting formal complaints right now that may or may not come to the commission. We just have to see. If we can do that.
Right. Very good, and we thank you all. Thank you for traveling the state. You see a lot of things I don't mention. Thank you for doing that. It's helpful to us and helpful that we have our investigators out. People don't realize it, but y'all have helped us so much. Cut off things before they get here. And that's very, very good. All right, we're now down to the legal counsel report. Thank you all for sitting through that portion of our meeting. Julie, are you going to introduce who's here and what's going on?
I can.
Daniel, I'm sorry.
Introduce.
I apologize.
And I'm sure they'll introduce themselves, but we have Mr. Will Allison there.
And, Bradford, morning representative was Lev Bradford.
And that's Mr. Bradford there. And then we have Brandon
Rosansky, outside counsel for BRP US, which is the manufacturer and distributor of the Can-Am line of ATVs and side-by-side vehicles and on-road three-wheel vehicles.
and then Mr. Price.
And Joey Price, I'm local counsel with BRP. I'm here at 12 Almond Groomings in Tulsa, Little Rock.
And these gentlemen are here at the commission's request. Joey and I talked about it to give you guys a kind of detailed update. You got the letter here that Brandon sent back in December, and you've also got kind of their proposed hearing schedule. I'm gonna let them give you the update and explain kind of where things stand, because they can do it much better than I can. And I'm sure you've read the letter, so you don't need me to rehash the letter for you. But they are here at our request to kind of give us an update on the Bradford Marine versus BRP complaint that you guys have heard so much about up to this point. So, we'll start.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So this this protest matter arose as BRP is looking to expand its dealer count and looks at the Conway area as an extremely viable prospect area for establishing a new dealership for the Can-Am lines three-wheel vehicle, which is essentially a three-wheel motorcycle. I don't know if you guys have seen them around. The Can-Am line of ATVs and Can-Am line of side-by-sides. BRP also distributes in the US the Ski-Doo personal watercraft, the Ski-Doo or Skidoo snowmobile, and a number of other product lines that are not an issue for the Arkansas Motor Vehicle Commission, but the Can-Am lines are within the scope of the statutes. And so BRP talked with prospects and came up with a proposal to have a new dealership in Conway opened at the existing C2 Power Sports location. And sent out the proper notice, and the Arkansas Motor Vehicle Commission notified Bradford Marine, who is within the 30-mile radius that allows an existing dealer of the Can-Am lines to lodge a protest with the Arkansas Motor Vehicle Commission, and sets up essentially a litigation type dispute where the Arkansas statutes that govern this area require that before the ad point is what we call it. I'm sure a number of the dealer representatives have heard that term, an ad point. We call it an ad point, an additional point of sale for the Can-Am lines. That before the ad point can be approved, the Arkansas Motor Vehicle Commission is to hold a hearing and hear from the parties on whether BRP has good cause to establish the additional dealership. And the statute requires that the commission take into account several listed factors in the statute, some of which include the public interest, some of which include the relative level of sales in the market area, the status of the investment of the existing dealer that's protesting, a number of different factors that are taken into account. And to be able to put on that presentation for the hearing, the parties in these types of cases typically engage in what's called discovery to get documents related to each of the factors. Fact discovery from different witnesses, there can be depositions taken of personnel at the protesting dealership and at the distributor. And they also often involve the testimony of expert witnesses that look at the level of sales in the market and can say, yes, this, from the manufacturer side, this area that we're proposing can definitely sustain a new dealership without decimating or really impacting to any significant degree the sales of the existing dealer. And then the dealer side often comes in and says, hold up, our expert says that we're going to have a different viewpoint on that. And so there are often experts that come in and study this stuff and present. And then it's up to the commission to take into account all of the testimony and evidence and documentary evidence that they have and make a decision as to whether good cause has been shown by the manufacturer to allow for this additional dealership to open. That is a significant amount of work that parties invest in, and it's a significant amount, can be a significant amount of cost. Obviously, lawyers are involved, so anytime players are involved, the costs can go up. But also it's a lot of resources from the personnel at the dealership, at the protesting dealership, as well as at the distributors. And so Bradford has filed this protest, and shortly after that, the parties began a dialogue to see if they couldn't reach a negotiated resolution of this dispute that would essentially allow for the protest to disappear, and there would then be no need for a hearing. The parties' discussion, so the protest was filed February of 2024, so less than a year ago. Parties engaged in discussions essentially every month after February all the way through November, December, and came up with a framework that we jointly call it kind of a settlement framework that's going to take place in a couple different phases, whereby BRP will consider the prospect that Bradford could become the dealership in Concord. And obviously, if Bradford is going to be the dealer, there won't be a protest because Bradford is the only dealership that could protest. And so we're talking to them. We came up with a whole phased approach whereby they come up with a proposal for what they're going to do, what they think they plan to do or would plan to do if they were approved in Conway. BRP is obviously going to evaluate that, probably has some questions about it. And the not internal, but the mutual deadline that we came up for that first phase was actually today. And this was a couple months ago. And in the meantime, the commission had set the hearing originally for sometime in July and then rescheduled it for this meeting date today. And we became aware that but the parties talked about, all right, since we're focused on potentially coming up with a resolution that ultimately could forestall the need to go through this expensive litigation, this time-consuming process, and may not even need a hearing. Let's agree to postpone all of that work to let the settlement framework play out and see if we can't reach a resolution. But then let's put a schedule together that pushes that work into the middle of 2025 and sets up, if needed, the hearing would then be September 30th through October 3rd is what we're proposing for 4 days of hearing, whereby the commission would hear evidence and testimony. The state statute initially states that all such hearings must be done within 180 days, but the parties can jointly waive that requirement, and the parties back in, I think it was June, back in June notified the commission that we've agreed to mutually waive that 180-day requirement. So our understanding is right now the commission is not under any time constraint per se to hold a hearing to comply with the statute. The parties have jointly waived that requirement. And so commission, we understand, has graciously agreed to accommodate the request. We appreciate the commission's attention to this matter. The request to have the hearing postponed to later this year so that the parties can look to see if they can reach a resolution that gives the parties the time to go through the process that each side probably thinks they need to do in order to put on the best case to present their position to the commission. Happy to see if I missed
No,
anything or if I.
just a brief, as Brandon explained, today was the deadline for Bradford Marine to complete some application process from BRP, along with submitting its dealer proposal and business plan. This was completed yesterday. It's been submitted to BRP. Council got a copy of it this morning. So phase one of our settlement discussions had been completed. So we had a deadline, like Brandon was saying, we didn't even know it was today. The hearing was today, and that's the day we picked to have our application completed. So that's been done. Now the ball, as Brandon said, goes back to BRP for them to review follow-up questions. The parties have agreed, just so you'll know, that BRP has agreed to do an expedited review process. You know, that's why we're hoping that we never see May 9th, which is the deadlines that will kind of start hopping on discovery. So as a follow-up now, phase one's completed. Phase two is back into BRP's ballpark to review the application, the dealer proposal, and the business plan. And that's where we are as we sit here today. You know, the extension and grant has all been made in good faith. The parties delayed, other than just part of being business and hoping it would work out. And we've all tried and no one slept on it. So, you know, we're asking the commission in good faith to give us 6 to 9 months to, if it doesn't work out, we'll be back here. But we think it's going to work out. We hope it's going to work out, but that's why we're here today to request the extension on the deadlines we think are favorable for both parties as far as to avoid cost, expenses, unnecessary work for both the dealer and the manufacturer.
I would just point out that at the end of the letter, it's, there's an email that's attached. It's got the schedule that we propose, and we would request that the commission approve that schedule for us today.
I was about to ask if that's still the schedule that you would like to present. I assumed it was. Did you get it?
Yes, it is.
Well, we have kind of dealt with this a while. And we're thankful for you all to reach this agreement as far as the pre-hearing and the schedule. I will call upon commission though to approve this or not approve this. So I want the motion.
Pre-hearing schedule.
Thank you.
Second that.
Thank you very much, Sherry. It's been moved and seconded that we approve as the commission on some motor vehicles, the pre-hearing and hearing schedule, questions or additions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Gentlemen, we hope that you all can get together and get this done.
We will do so. Thank you, and thank you for your attention to this. We very, very much appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you guys for here today. We appreciate it.
You all can stay if you want to, or leave if you want to. No, y'all.
Double check, make sure everybody else needs.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming.
Part of people could get out.
You all need a break. You don't need a little break.
Oh, there's exit. Take care. Y'all get it. Rest of the day. Good luck. All right.
We'll give you 5 minutes, guys.
Okay. They're kind of they're not mobile. This is, you know, they're not manufactured. They're not. Julie will explain. Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. Brandon. Okay. We're at the mobile home. That's what I always said. You never do that. It's always.
You'll explain more. Did you get that far?
Oh, I don't.
I mean, at one time, well, she's gonna, I just printed this for my reference, and your reference.
Right.
Regarding.
It's my understanding, I didn't talk to her.
It's really- we-
Right, was that in today? Where is actually, there's something about.
This is just a
Senior thing.
statutory
In the
requirement
world,
that
there's-
you don't have to approve the audit, you just have to take a vote that you review.
Reviewed it, yeah.
All right.
So that'll be in your minutes and in your permanent record.
Yeah, your review, the governing body should part of redaction, please, each time.
JGR.
You're not gonna crack it wild.
You don't want to buy an 8-foot.
There's also.
Back in that.
Language, true.
No, well,
It's still fun. That's what I always try to find out. So definitely, it's an interesting concept. So, my manufacturers, license. Build it, I could, I just don't.
I mean.
We have stopped in the past.
You, Marley Shell, Bill, Rogers,
And it's on the list. Well, that's not it.
oh, you got a bunch of forward.
I think that's the. Yeah. I'll get an application started. Area.
What you got, son?
They didn't manufacture it in close enough point.
They ended up closing all their.
I actually reached out last year. And actually never met it. I don't think it helped. Really, I reached out last year. Betting companies are serious. Get it now. How's it back?
Yeah.
They reached out. You know, we often.
Yeah, I do. It's like a magazine.
Chris, over
So the rule is any wheel motorized vehicle, electrical
all back together again. Let me see where we are. We're down on, eight, action discussion items, voluntary surrender license agreement. All those who've been in there with the before, we just have to have a motion to
And if anybody,
go through that. So if anybody wants to visit with us about any of those or the staff,
as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I can pretty much explain all of them. Yeah, we say.
I move we accept them as a group. I move we accept the surrender applications as a group.
Under section 8.
Okay.
All of them.
that was,
Okay, I understand. I had.
all right. Is there a second?
I said.
Thank you so much. It's been moved and seconded to approve the list 1 through 15 under section 8A for the voluntary license surrender. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right. Turn to the fee Tractor Supply Company. I'm gonna let Daniel, talk about this.
So this, what you have in front of you is the formal response that the commission received from Tractor Supply Company's corporate office, their corporate legal counsel, after former AG Michael Bynum and I worked on crafting a letter to them at your direction regarding the investigation Margie and John did into, I believe they visited 24 different Tractor Supply locations around the state, and we discovered they were selling LSVs without proper license at those locations at 21 out of 24 of those locations during our investigation. So the commission, after reviewing all of that evidence and material at a previous meeting, approved for us to send a letter request to Tractor Supply Corporate. And they did finally respond, and I did actually talk to this gentleman as well before he responded, Mr. Mullins. He's their director of legal counsel at the corporate office. Before he responded, and he told me they were gonna do basically what they said in the letter, which is, you know, we removed the Massimo and the Greenworks Stealth Ultra mini bikes from all of the Arkansas locations, okay? And Margie and John have done, obviously, we don't just take people's word for it, we follow up. Margie and John have done site visits to how many, just to be sure, what was it like?
I think it's eight or nine.
8 or 9, maybe 10 different locations
Yes.
kind of spread around in different areas of the state, just to kind of get a cross sample and see if they had actually done what they said they did. And yes, they have removed the mini bikes and the Massimo LSVs from those locations. So they did comply with the commission's request to do that, since they don't have a license. However, and I've already talked to Joy about this, but this is the first time all the commissioners have seen their response. You will notice their second paragraph, they're basically still wanting to debate with us about what an LSV is, and they want the commission to respond to do that. So what is before you today is my staff and I need direction on how you want to respond to them. In light of the fact that they have complied with the request and they are currently in compliance with Arkansas law with respect to those stores, they still would like a final follow-up response from the commission on this matter, on the LSV matter. So that is the question before you today, is how would you like for Joy and I and Julie to respond to Tractor Supply in light of those factors?
Do they face any penalties right now for having sold them prior to our notification?
Well, Julie can touch on that, but no, in order to do that, we would have to initiate, you know, whole period proceeding and go through that whole process.
I would just respectfully request that you table this until February, so I can do some research and craft a draft of a potential response based on my research. That might give you guys a little more direction, and then I would have a better understanding. And then we can treat this as a complaint that Adcock can review and then we can.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what we did. We priced the, commission naturally.
Yeah, this
We
was
got,
ad hoc.
yeah, this
That's
was- we
how we
did ad
got
hoc.
this, yeah, but we can go back and do it again.
I'll do some research and draft, proposed response. And then that will give everyone something to look at in February. Would that be acceptable?
We need a motion.
I think so.
Yeah, right. So I make a motion to table this discussion until the February meeting to allow our council to review the matter and grant response.
Moved and seconded that we table the discussion, the letter from Tractor Supply, and so what was it? Should have attorney to look at them and look to see what you need to reply to Tractor Supply. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Yes.
I do have a question.
Sir?
Once this, research has been done, this would, our response would apply to anyone else who's selling golf carts. Is that right?
Well, what I'll do,
I would
It
think,
would be, it would be something that could apply to other entities besides Tractor Supply who are doing similar things.
it could, it certainly could. But I just want to do some research.
Sure.
And have a conversation with Daniel. Since I'm coming back into this after a pretty good absence.
yeah.
This is all new to me. Let me come up to speed, but you're right. If the circumstances are similar with another, dealer or another, outlet that's doing the same thing, it could, because I'm just gonna look at, I'm gonna look at the law. See what they're selling. If it applies, it applies, if it doesn't, it doesn't, and there's nothing we can do about that. But you're right, it could have some carryover, it could provide you guidance for the future, but I'm specifically gonna try to address this too.
I just know that the golf cart world is a lot different.
A lot
And
different.
they're used for a lot more things than just running around on the golf course.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
We're built differently, and they're all unbelievable.
Yeah,
Even young people.
yeah.
young ones,
The electronics, you can sneak up on things, but just like those electric. Sit down.
Yeah.
I have those, I like it.
Any
Any
other
other
questions?
questions, y'all? All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Our next, audit is on, let's see, under your tab. The audit report for fiscal year 2023. The Department of Labor and Licensing, so Daniel, I'll let you visit with us, and the audit has been approved, but we need to approve what the audit says, is that correct? To review it, we need to review it, and not really approve what they said, but we need to say that we reviewed it.
Correct, and take a
Like,
vote.
okay,
So this is the audit report, encompassing fiscal year 2023 for Department of Labor and Licensing, which Motor Vehicle Commission falls under as one of the licensing agencies, so that's why it's written up that way. You will note, as you have, I'm sure, read through it and reviewed it, Commission does not have any individual findings. We don't have any findings inside the report. So there are no issues for us to really address, but since we are included in the report, we do have to review it, as you said, and take a vote on it if you have it. I believe the motion, we'll let Julie help us craft the motion, but I believe it's basically we have reviewed it. So if anybody have any questions about it, let me know, but I mean, it's pretty standard audit material. None of the findings, there's three main findings here, written findings, what we call written findings. And none of them apply to the commission. Which is good.
It
So-
sure is. It sure is. That's exactly where you want to be.
So
need a motion.
Nobody has any questions, yeah, we need to correct them. I'll let Julie explain kind of like.
Just that you would just make a motion that, that the commission has reviewed the internal control and compliance assessment of the Arkansas legislative art for the Department of Labor and Housing.
The name, which is that was at the
Yeah,
top.
I move that we,
Right here.
I move that we have reviewed and accept the audit for internal control and compliance assessment for the Department of Labor and Licensing. That would,
I'm gonna. Are you seconding?
yeah, I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Arkansas Motor Vehicle Commission has reviewed the internal control and compliance assessment and by the fourth Department of Labor and Licensing, of which the Arkansas Motor Vehicle Commission falls under. How's that?
Love it. I love it. Teamwork.
Exactly what I said.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Perfect. All right,
Thank you very much.
Dee.
Hopefully every year.
Yes, we want that to happen every year.
Yes, ma'am, that moves us on to the reminder. I already sent you guys an email, so everyone is aware of this already, but I also put it in here.
I went to the Ethics Commission website, it's so easy, I'll just fill
Get
it
it
all
all
out. And then where did I send it?
Oh, okay.
I didn't really send it that way because it makes me nervous. I'm too old for that, like I need the whole thing. But anyway, I did send it through the mail.
Okay.
And then I get to come and also check. It's been done. So, it's very easy to do, easy to do online. We want to do it twice, but, we do have to have these due by January 31st. So as a commission, we have to do this.
I have to turn one in so it's not just.
Mine got that in the mail, maybe.
Well, that's why.
There you go.
That's why I always ask my son, say, go make sure.
That's
they're
why I told
not-
you. Did you work out?
Hey, I made it, John Foster.
Yeah, well, I didn't. I knew there's a poll just for now,
We're happy to turn.
but the ethics commission, that fillable form is on, his name is there already. So Cole says, so it doesn't matter. It'll get there.
It'll get there. It'll get there.
Wait, y'all staff can check on that, or should I? It's really up to us to check. If we fail.
Don't they like it? No.
No, that's probably right. I don't know. You know, because you do get a little thing,
Yeah,
it's
I will
file
check.
and it's stamped and you know.
I will check. I will check.
Sorry.
There's a blank copy as well. If anybody needs one, I know some of you markers today. And my staff is happy to take those over there. Get a stamp copy. If you don't trust the mail.
And under all those things, under 1,000 or over 2,500.
Yeah.
I always type an attachment and I just put attachment and I put the attachment with it. I'm just telling y'all might not have that. I do.
Well, I trust the mail, but still have.
Yeah.
Well, stuff just happened, I'm telling you. So.
I can just say, I appreciate you. We did a great job last year and you guys always do a great job with this, but I can tell you, this is one of the things the auditors tend to focus on.
Yeah.
Whatever. So,
That's why I asked you all, or I could get somebody to say.
Their number.
There. But
but if you have,
please get it in.
if you have any questions about it, just let me know.
Okay. Any questions? You got it, okay. E, reduction of the Arkansas motor vehicle licensing fee under the Act 114 of 2023.
Yes, ma'am. So, and I've already talked to you about this as well, so you're already aware of this. This is the letter that we had to send out to Secretary Hudson's office, back in November. And we have, also sent it out to all of our licensees as well. But basically, and Julie she can explain to you kind of the nuances of this act, but essentially, we had to reduce our license fees by 2% this year. This is not, under the act, we don't have to do this every single year. It's just for a certain amount of time until we get our fund balance down to a certain level, basically. But we have a healthy fund balance. The commission has always done a great job for our revenue and expenditures and keeping a healthy fund balance and our grant program and everything else. So essentially, that means we had to reduce our license fees under this new act. So we have done that. We have complied with the act as requested and reduced our license fees, all license fees by 2%. That's what this letter is explaining to you. And this will went into effect in November and will be in effect for 1 year, and then
We have to do it again.
we may have to, we may not. That just depends.
All right.
On where we're at it, next year. But essentially, this is just to let you guys know we have complied with the act, so there's no issue there. And this fee schedule is the new fee schedule for that.
How many years have we not?
2021, since 2021.
Yeah.
It went into effect.
Yeah, I think it was 21, it was prior to Sandy's retirement.
I was just curious at how that's affecting our revenue.
Well, yeah, that was about, I don't remember the
So
exact.
it's been enough years that it would call that.
Well, and that's
Well, it
where our
has.
grant funding,
Yeah, sure,
Thanks,
so
Ron.
we gave all that
So,
money away.
we gave that away, that's different now,
It
so.
has affected it.
Yeah.
It has taken about a $70,000 to $80,000
Yeah.
revenue hit out of our revenue. So we have, if you look at our revenue now, it's about 70,000 to 80,000 less per year. So yeah, it has taken the bite.
And yes, we were not happy at all.
But yeah, that's been since 2020.
And we kind of asked and tried to fix it, but we could, that wasn't fixable. That's part of it right now. I'm not saying it can't, not so bad.
I was just curious if it still had to be these on other things.
Well, it's better than taking some upper money.
That's true. Yes, absolutely.
And
Yes.
so that can happen. They can
Yeah.
move in and
There-
realize what we
and-
have.
It's across the board, it's not just this commission. It's, I mean, I used to represent the medical board and they were I think it costs like $35 now to file a license to be a physician. I mean, they had to reduce theirs, and it's all based on the fund balance, as Ms. Blankenship said, and they're just trying to, they want to get it down to a particular
Five
level.
pockets of money that.
And this is the way to do it.
And
And honestly, at 2%, it's a little more palatable.
It also shows.
Well, it does, and we actually.
Well, no, I think it was the Daniel, with his reputation and shit.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, and we have, in all these years, we done well.
Good design, good leadership.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That, well
We
said.
could have the opposite issue.
Well,
We could.
And I've had,
Needed more.
well, there have been boards and commissions that have gone under because they didn't have the financial wherewithal to continue to exist. So, I've seen it, it's pretty scary when someone from BFNA comes in and tells a board, they don't have any money anymore. That's a really awful feeling.
Situation.
And you do not want to be in that.
We-
position. I've had it happen a couple of times.
We did what we were required to do. I'm not gonna say I was happy.
Thank you.
The actual bottom line is if the fund balance stays higher than a certain amount, the state can take that money and put it somewhere else if they like.
Really get into that.
Okay.
Sure.
I didn't hear.
They want,
I didn't hear that.
yeah,
No, we don't learn about it.
right.
But it's not forever. To reach a certain point, we should be able to set back what's.
I was wondering that we could probably do.
Because the statute has not been changed. It's still said what it says. And penalties still apply for the statute, so. But yeah, but that's the temporary fee reduction is set at that level. See how long it's set at that level. But no one can say that we're not in compliance with
That's all right.
the legislature's request. So thank you.
Right, thank you all. If you want to take that with you, as I said again, to study some of this, because there's a lot here, take it with you. We're on to Arkansas Tech University. Other campus requesting for authorization
Man, this
to
was,
purchase. So there's a letter there.
this was a late addition, because this just came in last week. And we need to approve the letters. No, it's
I don't
already
think
been
so.
done.
It's already been
I mean,
done.
I did that in conjunction. Okay, that happened here, so it's.
Sorry, I do see a little vote on thing right here.
Did I put that in?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Thank you for seeing
Yeah,
that.
there's an asterisk.
There sure is.
I mean, if you want to, you can, just to say.
Reviewed.
I made a motion that we review the letter. Yeah, it won't hurt you.
Second. Been moved and seconded that we review the reduction of the Arkansas Motor Vehicle licensing fee under Act 114 of 2023. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Michael. If we have to, yeah, if we have to do it again, that may be something.
We don't want to go to the audit. We did not review this. We did. Okay, on to the Arkansas.
So. Yeah, okay, so this is from Ms. Garner, and I talked to her last week, actually, when we were isolated at home in the snowstorm, we were still working, we were just working from home, so. Just because we're at home, I mean, we can't work, we have a lot of practice, so. But I talked to Ms. Garner, and essentially, they have spent all their funds except for $736.42 that they have left over. And this is a site that, you know, John and I have actually visited, and Mr. Johnson's been there as well. This is, they have a great program there. I can say that. I've seen it myself. It's very impressive. They have a welding program. They have an automotive service tech program. They have a body and collision program. I mean, it's a very impressive school and training program they have there, and they do a great job. I've met all the instructors, so, you know, I think whatever additional training supplies they need to purchase with the remaining funds, I think you can trust them to get something that actually can put it to good use. So,
Did you have any objection to them just submitting what they, you know, proof of what they purchased, just,
well, what I was gonna ask them to do is, I mean, we can wait and do that, where the commissioners can go ahead and approve it, and I can have them submit it.
exactly,
And talk, you know, is that?
Could be an addendum to their report.
yeah.
Yeah, because their
That
reports,
was the way they would-
the reports are due this week, so they'll be presented to all of you at the next meeting, so you would be able to see it at that.
Perfect.
But
You need a motion for this.
we do, because it's funds that you've already authorized to them, and they need authorization from the commission to spend it on something beyond the original application, just like we did in the last meeting.
I like the motion that we approved. Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the $736.42 for loan 3,000 awarded to them. And then we will get a addendum to the report.
The accounting reports are due this week, and they will be next.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Y'all will just leave the hearing, provisions in here, and then something we keep in there all the time. You may take all the other, if you would like, if you don't want, just put it in the packet, but we sum out it out, I think it's pretty good reading. We appreciate you all very much. It's a long meeting, but we got a lot accomplished. We're glad to see Ms. Feely again.
Thank you. I enjoyed seeing all of y'all. Thank you.
Oh, Courtney, I was gonna say Courtney, sorry, I didn't really.
He was, he stopped out.
I'm sorry, all right. Here to learn things. Thank you all very much. I guess we will be meeting.
We'll make the meeting in February because number one, we have to approve the grant reports. Number two, you and I can talk about it. You know, we open it up, maybe.
I agree on that because I think more people do that. That was a little.
Yeah, because we usually send out we usually post the grant application sometime like in February, maybe March. So that way,
That would be good.
you guys can decide what you want to set for limit, and I can modify that.
That's the largest amount that,
Yeah, that.
prior to
Yeah.
the change in how the funding and everything goes on
I
that.
just, it's
It's a much larger amount than I'm.
yeah, well, because we changed the language so that now we're allowed to fund up to 250. But I'm saying in terms of the amount they're allowed to request, we had it at 30,000.
Would it say the minimum request, you know, or
Yeah,
maximum,
the
I'm
maximum.
sorry.
You guys might want
Request
to
for
shift that. I've just been looking at it, I'm like, I want to shift it down a little because we had some people that went all the way up to 30,000. Or now, yeah, and that might eliminate, you know, funding for, I don't, it's something for you guys to discuss and decide if you want to do it. So,
I had a question about the grant program. In our town, UACCB, our community college.
Yep.
Is contemplating starting, they used to have an auto technicians, program, but they purchased some land in a new building and they tell me they have plans to reinstitute that. Now, somebody that's just starting up could still apply, or do you have to be operating?
They have to be operating and have students being,
Okay,
yeah, be active.
so they can apply in anticipation of starting, they gotta have
They-
already started.
Yeah, I think if you actually read the statute, I think you.
Well, I'll inform them of that, we've talked about.
Obviously, when they get started, they would be perfectly.
Absolutely.
I told them there's grant money out there. I'm very interested in it because of, for selfish reasons, I need more technicians.
Everybody does.
Yeah, we are all about it.
We'll have a,
Things, so that's, if I can get some locally trained, I'll be more than happy.
I'll tell you, we'll have additional requests next month. I've already talked to, Mr. Frank Riegel at Huntsville High School. And he has some remaining, I think a little over $1,000 in remaining funds, because they actually installed their lift themselves that they got with our grant funds, so saving their money. So he talked to me this week. I was like, well, I need to know kind of what you're wanting first. So he's got to think about it.
Similar to the arts.
Similar. So, yeah.
But once they've got the money, as long as they spend it on
Right.
things.
Well, he just
that will
needed to
improve
think
their
about what they need.
Educational program, I'm for it.
I'm impressed that they have money left over, which indicates to me they're really being good stewards of the grants that they're receiving, the funds they're receiving, and then they're so thankful that they, you know, they come back and want to be responsible for the balance. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, last meeting we had Cabot and we had, who was the other one? We had a couple last meeting we had that had.
We have not.
That's all.
Scott made a motion for adjournment or second. Moved and seconded that we adjourn the meeting of our vehicle on January 15th, 2025.
Michael Johnson, but.
Come in.
The
All those in
Michael,
favor say
it was
aye.
seconded by the two Michaels.
No, let's not.
Sorry, y'all. I know y'all ready to go. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say sign. Motion.
Before we guys leave, I would like to say, I'm very proud of all of you. Everyone without being reminded brought their mileage this week.